We have over 300,000 downloads on a niche podcast about short-term rentals. Like, what?
Yeah. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Beers and Business. I'm Harvey Jurgen.
I'm Josh Hively.
Today we sit down with Sarah Karakayan from Columbus, Ohio, who is a master brand builder. And we talk about how to figure out what your why is, how to convey that message to your audience, how to pick channels to convey that message, and how to build a brand if you are not an entrepreneur, you're not a business owner, and you're just a person with a job and a passion for something, which we agree with Sarah is extremely important. Today we're drinking Sarah's favorite, which is the Elvis Juice by Brewdog, which is local here to Columbus. And I am on 75 hard, and I'm drinking Lagunitas hop water, which is non-alcoholic but crisp and light and refreshing. So thanks for tuning in. We hope that you get as much from our conversation with Sarah as we got out of it. Thanks for joining. Okay, so I have you tracked from Kent State
Yes.
to Broadway.
Yes.
Then flipping a house in New York / New Jersey.
Kind of. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Kind of flipping a house.
Mm-hmm.
Wound up on HGTV.
Mm-hmm.
And then decided to move to Columbus.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll talk about what you're doing now.
Yeah.
What happened before Kent State, and then how did you arrive at Kent State?
Yeah. Ever since I was little, I knew I wanted to be a performer on stage, very specifically. I never wanted to be a movie star, and I wanted to be a musical theater performer.
Wow.
When I was little, I loved watching West Side Story and Guys and Dolls and all those movies. And so I got into community theater, and I was tunnel like focused. So I went to actually freshman year, a very prestigious program at Baldwin Wallace Conservatory of Music, really hard to get into, and I got into it. But I also brought with me this boyfriend who wasn't great. And by brought with me, I mean like was baggage. He went to Kent.
Okay.
I went to Baldwin Wallace.
Okay.
He didn't like that I wasn't going to school with him. He didn't like that I was living this other life. Mm-hmm. And so I was definitely under pressure, and it was a little bit, I'll be honest, a little mental abuse, if you will. Mm-hmm. And I transferred to Kent my sophomore year. But I hung out of that boyfriend for way too long. It's not my husband, don't worry. But I was lucky that Kent actually had a great musical theater program. So while the reason I transferred wasn't great, it ended up working out.
Right.
Okay, so that's I was always in musical theater, was my focus, hardcore, majored in musical theater, and that's how I ended up in New York.
Where are you from?
Erie, Pennsylvania is where I grew up mostly.
Okay.
Yes, born in Texas, but I was there for just a few years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your parents just kind of moved around for jobs?
My dad was in the Air Force,
okay.
And so he went to different Air Force bases. I was born in an Air Force base, then moved to Erie to be with family.
Okay.
Yeah.
So finished the program at Kent, made the jump to New York.
Yep.
And on Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
And then how did you arrive at flipping a house?
Yeah. So I got to New York in 2005, and I was a professional actor until about 2015. I didn't leave New York until 2017. I would say around 2014, 2013, I just got anxious I wasn't getting work as much as I had been. Mm-hmm. I think looking back, my attitude changed. And so when your attitude changes and you put out there certain things, you don't get certain things in return. Sure. But I didn't see it at that time. And I would go 6 months without a job, and I'm behind a bar or working in a hotel, just really mad at myself and life. And I know enough of myself that I'm not a negative person. I don't like being down and like, woe is me. So I said, well, acting must be toxic for me now. Like, chapter is closing. So what's next? And when I was little, I always loved like moving my bed around in my bedroom. I always loved I hung up my own wallpaper when I was 7, 8, 9. I painted my parents' living room because forest green in the 90s was going out and beige was coming in. So I painted a living room beige. You know what I mean? Like, I loved fixing up house, and I helped my dad was an electrician, so I helped him rewire our basement. And you like hang one light bulb and like you're all of a sudden like a flipper.
You're an electrician.
Yeah, it's like fine. My husband, who I met at college, hung drywall to get himself through college, and so we both just loved houses. And a lot of things happened, but eventually we both read Rich Dad Poor Dad, We were bound and determined to buy a home in one of the most expensive real estate markets in the US.
Right.
In Queens, it happened to be right after the recession that we were kind of ripe for buying something with an FHA loan, and we did, and it needed fixing up. But Robert Kiyosaki is all about like buying assets, right? Having the assets pay for themselves and for your lifestyle.
Right.
So we knew we couldn't just buy a home and have that be a home run. We had to rent it out. And so this basement component had its own, it wasn't a duplex, but it had its own door downstairs. It was just serendipitous that Airbnb was becoming a thing. And so I was like, what if we fix this up, make it a studio apartment? I have a big background in food and beverage and hotels just between my gigs. I was like, I'll rent this out on Airbnb. We'll see what happens. And we would Instagram was new too. And so we'd take pictures of the work we were doing. It was a 6 foot, like from the basement floor into the ceiling was like 6 or 6.5 feet. And so we wanted to dig down and like make the ceiling feel taller.
Yeah.
We didn't know what we were doing, you guys. Like, when I tell you, like
First house.
Correct.
Yeah.
First house. Don't worry. I've changed a light bulb. I can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did. You know what I mean? We made a lot of mistakes, but we literally took shovels to the floor.
You did it yourself?
We did it ourselves. I think we hired a cement guy who brought the cement chute down, but then we put cement. We did radiant heating, and we had a acid stain it twice because the first time didn't turn out so great. But it was a cool little space, and we just got a lot of confidence from that. And so I kind of quit working at the hotel. I had also stopped auditioning, and we just took on little like tiling jobs or baseboard installation jobs, or like one job that we took on was a whole apartment rehab. Shared it on Instagram, got a DM from HGTV casting agent, and then we went through 4 or 5 months of auditions, found ourselves in a house flipping show for 8 episodes. And I truly kind of was like a fake it till you make it situation. Maybe that's my acting career background just really shining through.
Yeah.
But
and you just went all in. You just said, let's dig up a basement. Let's put in radiant heating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like being told. Before we started recording, I kind of told you, like, I kind of know who I am, and I'm very stubborn, and I have a decent ego, and I don't like being told I can't do something. And my husband is the exact same person I am. So we kind of went for it.
Yeah.
We tapped into a lot of help, but yeah.
Yeah. And when you started filming or taking pictures of yourself on Instagram, was that deliberate, or was it just because it was new and you wanted to document the process for yourself? Or
Yeah. Document it for ourselves. Influencers didn't really exist yet. This was
Right.
2012, 2013. Our family could see it, you know. But then, like, again, it goes, I mean, man, they know what they're doing. But, like, you can see how many followers you have. And so, like, it's like this, like, built-in confidence thing.
Yeah.
More people follow you, more people comment. And you just keep going and you keep leveling up, like, the content that you create.
Yeah.
It's both good and
it's kind
bad.
of that feedback loop is
Yes.
continuous. Yeah.
Yes, and it can be dangerous, but I think we had a healthy dose. We never did anything that was unsafe or whatever, but yeah,
And Instagram got you on HGTV.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Do you think that were the HGTV people, do they track people who are like in the entertainment industry? Do you think that's how they found you, or is it just happenstance that they saw your post? Or
I think we fit a profile for TV shows, you know what I mean? Husband, wife,
Yeah.
doing crazy things,
Yeah.
acting like they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so I think then my husband actually has a pretty good, like, bubbly personality, and he's not shy in front of a camera.
Yeah.
I have obviously years in media training.
Right.
So then you get us in front of those opportunities and we do well.
Right.
yeah,
As opposed to someone who's incredibly talented, knows way more than we do, but gets in front of camera and
Shuts down.
and America doesn't want to watch that.
Right.
So unfortunately, we got
Fit
that
the bill,
opportunity. Yeah.
Okay, and then after HGTV, wound up in Columbus?
Kind of. We tasted the sweet nectar of cash flow, but we knew that it would be really hard to get far in New York.
Okay.
We didn't know the market was gonna like continue to go along for as long as it did, or maybe we could have stayed.
Right.
But we sold our house. We bought our house in 2012, I think, and in 2016 we sold it. We doubled the value, doubled.
Nice.
we didn't know anything about that kind of stuff. Again, kind of just right place, right time.
Yeah.
Admit that 100%. It looked great. It was an Airbnb. It was a functioning business. I knew enough to leave potential buyers with our numbers and with the design that we did in the interior of the home. They kept all the furniture. So we sold an operating business, and we didn't know where we wanted to go. We just knew we wanted to buy real estate. So we made a spreadsheet. We bought an RV. And we traveled the U.S.
That's right.
And we were really considering the West Coast. But when we ran the numbers, it was like Portland, Oregon was pretty much the same as Queens, New York. Seattle was, I think, more expensive.
Yeah.
Right, all these cool markets that we wanted to be a part of, but we would have been trading lives. So it's like, why not stay where we're at, where we have relationships?
Yeah, you get like you spend the same amount of money, but you get worse weather. Or something.
Correct. Yeah, or say, you know what I mean? It's just like we were trying to level up in some category.
Yeah.
We stopped in Columbus to visit a friend. We saw this fourplex in a really great neighborhood. Just put an offer on it. We were like, again, we didn't know what we were doing. Acted like it, and actually, we made a lot of money on the house in New York. We thought we could like pay all cash for it. I mean, we could, but then we talked to people who are smarter than us, like you should probably leverage some of your money, and we were like, oh, okay. But we were midway through the deal, and so then we just told the seller, like, actually, we're gonna get a loan on this, and he was so far in, he was like, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so we ended up just putting 20% down and buying it, but because we bought it, that's what kept us here.
Right.
And we kept learning and meeting people and just how great Columbus is. In terms of, it doesn't matter what business you're in.
Right.
Just business growth in general is a solid place to be.
Yeah.
And so we stayed.
Yep.
And what year was it you bought the 4-unit?
I think it was 2017.
Has that doubled in value?
I think it's like,
Close.
yeah, we bought it for 410. I think Zillow says she's like 600 and something. Yeah.
I like how all your buildings are she's.
They are all ladies.
Yeah.
They are all ladies in my eyes. Yeah.
Okay, and since
Similar
then,
to boats.
What's that?
Similar to boats.
Sure, it's right
Ships.
here.
And
Yeah,
those-
they're ladies too.
fourplexes.
Yeah.
Okay, so since then, been very busy building all kinds of different brands.
Yeah.
Can you just give us the landscape of all the different brands that you have and what they are?
Yeah, it's actually not too complicated yet. We have Nesters, which we started that Instagram account, and like I told you, we did some tile jobs and some baseboard jobs. That was all under Nesters.
Yep.
And that was just our husband and wife DIY brand.
And you've had that since New York?
Since New York.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep. 2014. That's kind of when we started that whole brand.
Okay.
And then we went through a lot of different trial and like what area of home improvement do we want to be in? And there are so many.
Right.
Not only the trades, but then professional organizing, interior decorating, interior design, architecture, like all these different things. My husband went to school for architecture, master's degree. He's always wanted to start a company with his college buddies. And so now there's kind of like a floor plan department within Nesters. Long journey short, I ended up in the property management industry for short-term rentals. And so I have a doing business as, and it's called Stay Well Hosting.
Yep.
We manage short-term rentals.
Okay.
And then we make a decent amount of money off of creating content, off a couple flips we do a year, and just our day-to-day on Instagram. And so we kind of have like a blog marketing income from Nesters. So it's kind of like, what's that? 3 buckets. Media, management, floor plans. House flipping maybe is a 4th bucket. But that's that. And then I'm also building a brand with, I have built a brand, I can say that.
Yeah.
With
Yeah,
another woman. Her name is Annette, and the brand is Thanks for Visiting. And it started off as a podcast 2 years ago, and now we're about 110 episodes in. We drop weekly content, and it's doing really well. And that is an educational brand.
We are admittedly novices at brand building, but we're extremely interested in it. So
It's not for lack of trying.
Sure.
So I'm gonna ask maybe some stupid questions, just because I want to understand kind of how everything goes together.
Yeah.
So in my mind, the way it kind of cascades down is you have kind of this mission or image or message that you're trying to convey, and then underneath there you have the different brands, and then you have the different channels for each of those brands on how you're conveying that message.
Yeah.
Right. And in those channels you're creating content.
Yes.
Okay. that content has to be, I would think, especially for someone like you, scheduled and deliberate.
You try to be.
Okay. And then somehow, I'd imagine you need to test the impact and the usefulness of those channels and that content to bring it all back to the top and figure out, is this supporting our
Right.
message?
You got it
Okay.
down pat.
So, great.
Now on to execution.
Well, no, so I want to start at the top, and what for you across your brands at the very top, what is that message, or what's the vision?
Yeah. To leave every space better than we found it
Okay.
is as cliche, and I don't think we made that up ourselves, but it's been our guiding light since day one. Yeah.
Okay. How often are you, since day one, like way back in 2017?
2014,
14.
when my husband and I decided to start an LLC and do that whole process, we knew enough. And again, like as an actor, you're really selling yourself. And so I had to brand myself every day going into audition. I had to know who I was getting typecast as,
Right.
how to dress up for that part.
Right.
So we knew that much. And so we asked, well, when things get hard, when money gets tight, what's going to help us stay on track?
Yeah.
And it's that, I don't care if we lose money. I don't care if we lose, like whatever that is, we leave this space better than we found it. And now it's kind of turned into like leaving relationships better than we found them, even if that means just leaving them because it's not solid with us in them.
Sure.
Spaces, experiences, just having a positive impact.
What advice would you give somebody who doesn't feel like they have an overarching why? How can they find it? And I don't know if there's resources or
Yes. I had the perfect one because it really hit for me in 2017, YouTube video, Simon Sinek,
yeah.
Start with why.
Yeah.
When he said to me via the YouTube video,
When he said directly,
he
to
literally
you,
told, no, he
Sarah.
did. He said,
Yeah.
Sarah, people don't buy what you do.
Yeah.
They buy why you do it.
Right.
Here's the thing that I've always struggled with. I don't have children. I've never really wanted to be a mom. And so many people who are awesome are like, I do this for my kids. And I've always felt guilty that I didn't ever want that for myself. But I just know that I love serving people and I love making their spaces and experiences better than before they met me. And so that's my why. And when Simon said that, it gave me permission to say no to people who weren't aligned with me, whether they were clients or guests in our spaces or opportunities. And so I would say that if you are having a hard time finding your why, watch that YouTube video, because I could never top that.
Right.
And to look no further than yourself. Like, what gets you up in the morning? And if it really is just, well, I'm supposed to, then there's something deeper going on there. And I'm all about mental health and working with a professional to help you get to finding out who you are.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do that on your own. And it's hard to ask your best friends for that kind of help because I think we all struggle with that self-identity.
Right.
But I would start from those two places.
Okay.
And I think that what I've seen recently is folks who have already like scaled a large business who are now trying to like find their why. And it seems like a lot harder to work backwards, whereas you guys just kind of fell into stride early on, sort of. So I think it seems to be helpful.
I think so. It feels like it's taking us a really long time to get there, wherever there is. But I might look back in 5 years and see all that we've done and be like, God, that only took us, this amount of time. But I think as long as you don't feel like an imposter every day that you show up, you're farther along than most people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like every decision you make, you know that like, okay, that's authentically me. That's what I wanted to do in that situation.
Right.
Then, But if you make a decision and you feel like you're putting on a front,
Yeah.
you gotta dive into that.
Yeah. Kind of, you get that sense that you're just being dishonest with
Yeah,
yourself.
or just not yourself, or like, God, I wish I wouldn't have said that, or like, I was totally not feeling that, and I was pretending to. Why?
Right.
So.
And that trickles down to your brand.
Yes.
People can see that.
Yes.
So speaking of people, when you're conveying that message, who do you feel like you're speaking to?
Yeah. I believe in speaking to one person and really knowing who that person is. There's a lot of different mindsets on that, and I don't think this is like the answer, but it's just what helped Nick and myself and Annette and me. We know what their name is, we know what they do for work, how much they make, and why they love us and why they love what we do. And so when you're creating content, you're like on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, or LinkedIn, and you like don't know what to write, but if you know that I'm gonna write to Josh and I'm gonna say something to him, I have a certain tone and voice and message that I would say with you that would be very different than if I'm talking to, my business partner, Annette. Well, who's gonna buy from me? And that's not a bad thing, right? Who wants what I have to offer? I need to talk to them and connect with them and weed out the people who don't buy, don't want what I have to offer. And that helps me write those captions or anytime I speak to my audience.
Is that person the same across your brand?
No.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
I don't think so. At first, when Nick and I were just like, we were learning how to cope baseboards, like I knew who we were speaking to, and we were speaking to one person. But that same person isn't going to care about space planning a rental flip, right? Like those are two different people. But I'm not saying it's impossible, but we did start one, and then we got the second, and then we got the third. You know what I mean? So it was not this like overnight. We talked to 4 different people.
How did that journey of figuring out who that audience was or that person, and like you mentioned some pretty specific demographic information. How did you do that?
You have to be very aware of who's reaching out to you. Who is DMing you? Who's on Instagram, on Facebook, or who's emailing you? When you're at a party, you're at a networking event, and you talk to all these randos, but you're left with this person at the end of the night, and you have this synergy. Maybe go home and write things down about that person that you learned. And that's another thing too that I am thankfully good at. I'm pretty darn good at listening. I don't have to talk a lot. I prefer not to especially when I go networking. It gets a little awkward sometimes because I don't even know what to say because I just want to hear other people talk more. But if you can listen to people more often and not assume that you know what they want to say or what they want you to say in return, but you can just gather information and then go home and create, your website copy, your brochure, your whatever, your blog post.
Right. Okay. So we have your overarching why. You know who your audience is in each of the brands. Mm-hmm. Do the channels select you just based on what's available? Or do you make deliberate choices about your channels based on that audience? I'd imagine the second one. And if you don't mind, just maybe give us the outline of what channels you're using and why.
By channels, do you mean?
Like platforms?
Like social
Instagram,
media?
Facebook.
Got it, yeah. Here's the thing, I think 3 to 5 years ago, we kind of thought we had to be on all of them. Like you got to create your Facebook artwork and then your LinkedIn artwork and your Twitter and your Instagram. You got to be all the places. Mm-hmm. But I learned very quickly, just like when you're talking to like one person for your brand, it's the same. Like your person might be on 2 platforms, but I don't think they're on all 5. And even if they are, they're not seeking you out on all 5. So I'm of the mindset where like pick 1 or 2 and really go all in on it and really show up purposefully. Don't put up there, don't just show up and throw up garbage that no one cares about it, I promise you. And that's probably very evident in the engagement that you're getting because it is social media, right?
Yeah.
And so if you don't feel like being social on it, then I would even like ask yourself, okay, so how can I be authentically me? I don't like showing up here. I still have a lot of value to give. That's when you outsource it to someone else who can hear you out. Maybe you brain dump something several times a week or a month and have them create your voice into content. But just don't show up and like say garbage. But especially with DIY and like before and afters and like Instagram was just a great fit for us. Facebook is kind of hard to follow because you have a lot of, unless you go to someone's page, there's just a lot of noise on Facebook, and I don't know, I just couldn't figure it out.
Yeah. You guys are on there though.
We're on there. We have like a landing page, but most of it is like repurposed from Instagram, which I'll tell you, like, we still don't get a lot of engagement on Facebook. Like, no one is looking us up on Facebook. Like, it's just.
Well, and I think that's going back too to a little bit of like the demographics of Facebook and Instagram are different.
Yeah.
And Instagram is probably just more your target demographic.
Yes. And then for like, thanks for visiting. We have a private Facebook group because that really is just like the platform that's really rocked out private Facebook or private groups. But we're on LinkedIn and Instagram. Instagram, because what we do is short-term rentals, and we do our ideal avatar is someone who loves beautiful spaces and like creating like epic vacation rentals.
Yeah.
And so like you can visually see it there.
Right.
But then they're also sometimes, mostly business savvy. And so they're on LinkedIn as well. So that's why like we focus on those two avenues.
Do you reevaluate that frequently?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like recently we felt like we've been pretty plateauy on Instagram, and it's like, well,
Plateauy.
It's a word.
You know it when you get there. I guess.
Yeah. It's like we really just stayed put, and like engagement's kind of like blah, and like no one's really excited or reaching out to us, and it's like, okay, well, why? You have to always evaluate yourself and never set it and forget it in business. I mean,
what did you discover?
I think we're at a point in our business where I'm not sure nesters can handle floor plans and flips and short-term rentals, right? Like our ideal avatar may not be interested in floor plans and also interested in how to find a good short-term rental for return on your investment. So nesters either has to like find a new way to take what we are doing every day and repackage it to really still speak to the people who are there.
Yeah.
Or divvy it up. Like we're very much in that point right now where it's okay, what's our next, how do we pivot? And I just it's nothing to be frustrated with. I think it's
just natural.
It's natural. Yeah. And I get really mad when I see people like promote this like laptop lifestyle, like laying on the beach. I do, because it's like, then why are you like in business? Like if you're just gonna like create something, let's sell it.
Yeah.
I don't know, right? Or like, I don't know. I just have feelings about that. But no, we're definitely in a rediscovery, rebranding for sure.
Okay.
Moment right now, which is fun.
Based on the feedback you're getting in Instagram.
Yeah.
And just the level of engagement.
Yeah.
Going back to like the channels real quick, how do you guys handle when there's like a new trendy social media channel? How do you evaluate that?
Clubhouse,
Yeah,
right?
TikTok, whatever it is, Snapchat, whatever. That's not new, but do you guys have a process for like evaluating that and deciding whether that's your target demographic and to move forward, or what's that look like?
Right. Like Clubhouse, for example, I was in it for like 4 weeks, and it was great. And I was this is how I'm gonna get people to go to meet on Instagram. It's like, well, my end goal is Instagram. Then maybe I'm in it for the wrong reasons. For me, you know what I mean? Like, and the amount of time it takes to show up on Clubhouse. I mean, if you guys have learned anything about it, it's like people are not on it for 15, 20 minutes, an hour. I mean, some of those rooms are like 2, 3, 4 hours.
Yeah.
I think I've seen 24-hour rooms.
Oh, and they swap, and it's and it's kind of like this interactive podcasting thing.
Yeah.
But I feel like when like that, God, like I feel alive. I feel connected to people. Clubhouse is my jam, right? Like, I don't know that there's a magic formula. I think you try it if you have time for it and you're really honest with yourself. You give it a solid try, right? Like invite people to your room and like collaborate with people and like speak up and like do those things. But I kept seeing the only reason I was on it was to get people to find my Instagram. But then I got them to my Instagram and they weren't engaging with me. So I've got a bigger problem, like it's deeper than just finding a new platform to be a part of.
Right.
But what if like you're this person right now and Instagram's not your jam and LinkedIn's like fine, but really your ideal audience isn't there. And so now there's like, but you're really crazy creative and you're kind of off the wall. So like TikTok might be perfect for you.
Right.
Right? Or like, all you want to do is chat with people all over the world about business all day, and like you're happy to let people listen in on you. then Clubhouse might be your jam. Like
Yeah.
those two things just aren't me.
Yeah, I think for us, at least where I feel energized is in-person meetups.
Yeah.
Before COVID, we had a meetup, and just being able to interact with somebody who's sitting across from you,
Yeah.
and impart knowledge on them, and get live feedback from them.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
tough right now, but it's in the works. And I
Yeah.
know you guys were doing a meetup with Thanks for Visiting, right?
Yes, we were. And then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And we were reevaluating, do we restart that? It was a meetup for Airbnb hosts here in Columbus. And we decided that we got it going, and I think there were a lot of people that were coming to that. And so if any of those people wanted to re-energize that, they could. But now we are focused on the podcast
Yeah.
and our online membership. And so there is definitely danger and like lots of shiny things, right?
Yeah.
And how much of it? What was our outcome from the Columbus meetup? Right? Was it ego that we? At first, it kind of was. It was like we wanted to be known as like the go-to management company for the quality rentals in Columbus. And so, how do we become an authority? Oh, we have a meetup. You know, it kind of worked.
Mm-hmm.
We got to meet a lot of great hosts, which, if I have a guest I can't accommodate, I now have people I can reach out to.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But I just feel like that end result wasn't authentic, or wasn't, I don't know, it just wasn't purposeful.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was there, it happened,
Right.
we let it go.
Yeah.
And I assume there's at least a small factor of that too, is like the efficiency of whatever vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, a meetup, you have 20, 30
Mm-hmm.
people. I've been to some of your meetups, maybe 40 at one point,
Mm-hmm.
maybe more. But whereas like a podcast can just touch people over and over and over
Yeah.
again, and you can rack up way more than 20 or 40.
We are service-based, right? Like we manage people's homes, but our goal is not volume of homes to manage. And some property managers, that is their goal. And so I think hosting an in-person meetup where you are the authority, maybe you invite a homeowner or a landlord in to your meetup, see what you care about, and then they could hire you to manage their home.
Right.
But we knew that we wanted to stay boutique. We want to stay small, and that's very purposeful, because truly what we want to do is reach other hosts and level up what it means to manage Airbnbs, take guest safety into concern,
Okay.
level up what it means to like all those things. And so podcast just made more sense.
Yeah.
So, again, it's just like, what do you want out of that thing that you're pouring time and money into? And just make sure it's getting you what you want.
It sounds like the podcast really, you're adding value, putting some of your, not secrets, but like the things that you do as part of your own business that
Yeah.
people wouldn't otherwise know.
Yeah.
And lately it seems like, and we concentrate on this, that putting value out to the universe is important, but it is also part of the brand strategy, right?
Yeah. I think it's the most important.
Okay.
I do. I think, here's the thing, it's like some like people's businesses have the word like money in it or capital or like killing it. Like, I don't know why we're murdering things. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like money is a byproduct of giving your service, your time, your heart, your talent. You will make money if you do it well and maybe align yourself with someone who knows how to manage your money or like help you scale appropriately.
Yeah.
But I just feel like if you put money first, I think you're chasing I know that you're chasing the wrong thing.
Right.
And so, and it's a podcast we started out with, well, I'll be honest with you. It was like, yes, I wanted to share my knowledge. I worked in hotels and food and beverage for years, and I love operations. I love like scheduling and management and training and things like that. So I knew I had something to share there, but I had a lot of things to learn. And so I was like, Annette, we need to get like a revenue management person on here. Ask them all the questions that I want to know. Share it with people who also maybe not be good at those things. And then I learned something too for my business.
That's why you're here.
Here we are.
Yeah, exactly. Right? But like, and so now our podcast makes us money though. That was never the initial goal.
Right.
Never.
Yeah.
Right? We just wanted to like be an authority, learn some, and share.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's good.
Well, and had you started out with the intent of it driving revenue, you probably would have needed a lot of ads and things like that all from the beginning.
And then your
you
focus
would have
is
had
where?
Inauthentic content.
Yeah.
And people were just bombarded by ads, so they don't listen beyond episode 3. And,
Correct.
Okay. What is the relationship or separation between the brand of Sarah and the brand of Sarah's businesses?
Nothing.
Okay.
It's one and the same. You are your brand is you. It has to be that way. You know, I truly believe even if I were to like grow to like a big enterprise where I had tons of employees, like they have to buy, you know, why I do it in order to be like rock star employees and to make the brand continue to live and breathe. So I don't think there's much difference at all.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't mean, you know, you have seasons of like, I'm not talking about work-life balance.
Yeah.
But when you work with nesters, like we're not gonna let you put a boob light in your house. That's just us. You know what I mean? Like we're not the floor plan people for you if like you don't want to like, you know, whatever. Like it's like people know when they're coming to us, they want what we are passionate about.
Right. And the personality of the business is just an extension of your own personality.
Yeah, has to
Yeah.
be.
I think what we find difficulty in is knowing that, but then figuring out where to house the content on a business page, on a business Instagram, or on a personal Instagram, or a personal page. And maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe.
And I think there are some people who are really good at helping you with that. Like there are brand strategists out there, and I think they're great people to tap into. And I think as long as when they're chatting with you, they're asking you about who you are and digging into your psyche and your why and like what you see the business going and like what's important to you and like I don't know, if you're a writer, like what do you love writing about? And I mean that's what makes like a copywriter. When you hire someone to help you with the copy on your website, like a good copywriter will like spend 3 to 4 to 5 hours listening to you either over a phone conversation or reading old content of yours or listening to whatever, like getting that essence of your voice. What words do you use? What slang do you use? Where do you put your periods in your spaces? And they'll help you recreate that.
Yeah. It sounds a lot like what you guys do for people when you're helping them design their space, figuring out what the function of their life looks like and then designing around that.
Yeah, I think so.
So speaking of brand strategists or leveraging other people's talent, what people and tools do you leverage most in your brand communicating strategy?
Yeah, coaches.
Okay.
Good coaches.
All right. What kind of coaches?
Usually not cheap coaches.
Expensive coaches.
They are just expensive because, you know, I'm going to get a lot of value out of that hour or two with them a week. And they can just help me get to where I want to go a lot faster. But here's the deal, everyone. And I feel this sometimes too. You cannot copy and paste from your coaches and expect to build a, multiple 6-figure brand. You still have to do the work.
Right.
You still have to tap into who you are, why you do what you do, what your brand is, what your non-negotiables are, what are you not willing to do. You still have to do all that really hard work. But the coach will help you like put those puzzle pieces together or connect you with the people, connect you with the brand strategists, connect you with the right copywriters, right? Like connect to the right people quicker, be your mirror so they can help you like reflect back what you're saying to them in like a smart and concise and like, you know what I mean, focused. I like to be on my feet and I like to like orchestrate people. I'm a manager. I like to manage things. So I have to like sit down. It's very hard for me, but I know if I'm paying this amount to this very smart person and they're going to help me figure this out today, I can get a lot of work done.
Yeah. So what kind of coaches are you using?
Business coaches.
General business coaches?
General business coaches. Who speak to me. They may say something and they're like on their website or on their book that like it resonates with me. And so like I can get some work done with that person.
So then you read something by them and then you reach out to them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like Simon Sinek?
Yeah. Oh my God. Could you imagine? An hour with him would be expensive, but I would pay it.
Okay.
Who is that?
Simon Sinek.
Oh.
He's good.
Okay, so we hit on this earlier, and you said you try in this area, but the master schedule rhythm of content.
Yes.
What does that look like?
Yes. So there are so many ways to do it.
Okay.
Here's how I do it. Every day has a theme, right? So I don't know what my theme is off the top of my head. It's color coded in the calendar in Airtable, but it's like, for example, Monday. So you have your business, but like you are your business, your brand is you, all that kind of good stuff. So like maybe, Tuesdays that you talk about, your family or your dogs or like your house, or something that's personal, lets people into like your world. Monday, you're going to talk about, so we do a lot of, so I was trying this out for a while. Monday, we're going to talk about, smart ways to maximize the space in your home. Wednesday, we're going to talk about how to prioritize, cleaning your house, because we run short-term rentals and we love, household products. And Thursday, what I'm saying? Like every day kind of has like a category.
Okay. Every day of the week.
Every day of the week. And then you just repeat it.
Yeah.
And I think that's really effective. Your audience has like the full gamut of who you are and your business structure, right? Like, so if it doesn't matter what you do, like if you're a drywall company, I mean, how many things can you talk about? Like tons of DIY projects, like how to repair yourself, materials, ways to look for great contractors. And then you can like make that content super niche, like, so I think you just repeat it. And it's okay, like come back to a topic that you did 6 months ago.
Yeah.
No one remembers.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks no one focuses on you more than you focus on you. Truly. So don't feel bad about, even those Instagrammers who like share like their same kitchen every day, but just different angles of their kitchen.
Right.
And they have crazy amazing engagement. People follow me all the time because it's the story they tell in their caption.
Right,
you know who they're talking to. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of the real estate investors out in Seattle that I follow on Instagram. Probably one of the top 10 people that I follow with as far as level of engagement. At this point, I'm starting to wonder if if these aren't just like recordings that he's just like replaying. At this point, I've more or less started skipping them.
Yeah.
So maybe not a great strategy, but he does have very high level of engagement.
Yeah.
I think there's some.
I think that's natural too for you to like cycle through people who follow you.
Yeah.
Because maybe you've gotten everything you can out of him.
I think so. Yeah.
And that's okay. He served his purpose for you in that period of your life. Mm-hmm. And so also like if you lose followers, like it's okay. Like that's a circle of life. Mm-hmm. And I bet you because his engagement's high, he's getting new people who are coming into that circle of their life where they need him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I mean, with him specifically, it's kind of very like high energy. So there are days where I will watch his reels just for a little, boost
to like get you.
Because I know he's going to bring that energy, even if maybe it is like a recording from a previous reel. But I know like that energy's there. So sometimes like if you need a little boost, I know I can kind of get it there. So I do still engage a little bit.
And so that's saying a lot about him. Like exactly what you're going to get when you go to his channel, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's why he's doing so well. Mm-hmm. He is sticking to what he knows, resharing, you know what I mean? You don't have to know everything.
Yeah.
Another good thing, too, is like partnering up with other people like you guys are doing, So when this goes live or whatever you call it, you'll send me the link. Mm-hmm. I'm going to share with my audience. Might be a small portion of my audience who might find it interesting. Mm-hmm. But even still, even if you can get a handful of people who become super fans, and that's what it's all about. Especially if your true mission is to touch someone's life and make a positive change in their business, then you win.
Right.
Yeah.
What if I don't own a business? Is it important for me to build a personal brand?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, even as someone who knows that being a business owner is not their jam, which I get you, because it's hard. But you're a rock star team member and you promote yourself, whatever you're, let's say you are really into food and beverage management. So your Instagram is a little bit of your personal life, tasteful, because employers are going to go see that.
Right.
But then
that's like the first place they're going now.
Yes. But they're going to see your expertise too and your passion for it.
Right.
So, I mean, and as long as you enjoy posting about that, I mean, you don't have to either, but I think it enhances as an employer. I know when we hired our last employee, like I found her on YouTube, I found her on Instagram, and there's human connection there. I was like, I think she would be personality-wise a great fit. Now let's see if the job is a good fit for her too.
Good. I'm curious how much of your time you spend on brand building and media creation versus like the actual nuts and bolts of your business.
Yeah, I think there are seasons, just like with everything else with work and family and balance. We have normal things that like, we try to batch our content. So we recently did a whole bunch of reels, and we try to get as many of them done in one day as possible.
Okay.
We put like a brain dump down of like, I think it was like 20 ideas. That was 1 hour or 2. And then we scheduled the day we were going to do it. And then we've been trickling them out.
Okay.
Right. So that you're not like every day having like, oh, I got to get on Instagram today. It's like anything. It's like with eating, it's with working out, it's with your content. And I know it sucks, but you got to plan it out.
Right.
There are some days where we're like, we didn't batch and we're behind. I mean, absolutely. And that's when you dig into your archives, get an old photo, but say something different, or what have you, and like change it up. But
Sure.
Batching is.
Yeah, no, I've had days recently where you go check on the rehab and then you leave and then you're like, oh man, I was supposed to Instagram. So you get out of the car, go back in.
Yep.
I like the batching.
And like, even with that, I try to remind Nick, my husband, because he's usually the one going to our site visits. And it's like, you don't even have to talk. Like, just go in and do a tour.
Yeah.
Or like, do a boomerang. And you don't even have to have purpose. Put it in a iPhone folder that just says like potential content. And then maybe I can make something of it later. So yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
It slows you, you feel like it slows you down. And so that's like a battle that we have in our business is like, I was so busy today. But we look at our numbers and how much we and our business have made on social media and like what that means and how many clients.
Right.
We flip houses, and so sometimes people bring us deals.
Right.
We hate finding deals, so it's like, that's invaluable.
Yeah.
We better show up on Instagram.
Right.
Figure it out.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah, because this one's almost done. So
Yes, so it's time to get a new project in the hopper. Yes.
Well, you're crushing it, and you've done a lot in 4 years that you've been in Columbus. I mean, you're like the premier brand of, I'd say in the real estate space in general, at least in the realms that I'm paying attention to.
Thanks.
And it feels like you're doing so much, like way more than we're doing. I want to ask you about time management, but for the sake of time, I won't ask you about time management. But what does your daily routine look like?
I'm one of those sickos. Like, this is why I did really well in like hotel and food and beverage, because I love going, right? And so that's my biggest struggle, is having any sort of like routine. Like right now, my routine is like, for me, I can't. Okay, but we also talked before we went live about knowing thyself. I, for years, have tried to be this like 5 a.m. person. I'm gonna meditate for 20 minutes and I'm gonna do all these things. That is just not me. Now, do I need to be quiet more often than I am? Yes. And I tried, my 30 minutes of yoga that I pay for and I schedule, and so I have to go to it, helps me be quiet.
Right.
But my work gets me up in the morning. Like, that's what gets me energized, and so I just listen to my body. I work out at night because that's also when like I feel like I've done all those things that like I feel like I got to get done, and now the evening is really my time to like watch a show, go to CrossFit, maybe grab a drink with friends. That's what works for me. Usually it's like the night before, I look at my next day, what I have to do, what I have to get up for, make sure I have about an hour and a half to shower. I love going to Starbucks and getting a nice coffee. I love that part of my day. My $3.42 or whatever it is now is just that's just my thing.
Yeah.
And then I just crush it. I go and
Nice.
run around like a crazy lady.
Yeah. Until it's time to work out, go
That's
to bed,
me.
and do it again.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for
Yeah.
spending your time
was
and
a lot of
dropping
fun.
some knowledge on us. Where can people find you? I don't think that's difficult, but
if they haven't already, where do
Yes.
they go?
Yeah. Our home on the web, nesters.com, nestrs.com.
okay.
Would be great.
Okay. And do you do, or have you done coaching for others?
I have. We are trying to get away from it because there's only so many hours in the day
Right.
and so much bandwidth. And I am trying to be there more for my husband, my dogs, my friends. And it was, unless I feel like you have a coaching schedule set up. But that's not to say if you email me or like have 15 or 20 minutes that like if I could help you solve a problem that's huge in your life, I'll help you with 15 or 20 minutes of my time.
Yeah.
Like all day, every day, all the time.
Yeah.
And then if it's still not enough, I would point you to all this content that I've created, or point you to a person who I know could help you
Right.
on the longer term.
Okay.
So
Yeah, we're at the point where we see the value, and I think we're done with the live part of it, but we see the value in content creation, putting value out, connecting deeply with people, and making contribution out into the ether. But where we struggle is, what the hell do we do with all these ideas? How do we organize them? How do we make sure that traffic from one thing generates traffic to another? And like we were just talking about before we got here, it's just like we feel like we have a ton of irons in the fire. All of them are half baked, and
yeah, we literally had a conversation together in separate cars on the way here on Clubhouse. Because we have a Clubhouse room at 3 o'clock on
that
Thursday.
no one comes to,
There's
but
a
we
way
keep,
there, so we were just talking about
keep
this.
grinding it out. Yeah.
So you guys are showing up that day at that time.
Every Thursday.
You
Thursday,
two
3
are
o'clock, yeah.
chatting with each other.
Yeah, we're chatting about a certain topic.
And here's the thing: just because you haven't gotten whatever that's called traction,
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you won't.
Right.
But if you do have, because here's, you guys, I feel like I'm the same person as you. Like, I like trying a lot of different things. You just have to know when it's time to pack that thing up and like put it aside, and when to like know, like you feel it, that this is where you shine, and you gotta give it your all. And that's where Nettie and I are with our podcast. Like, it was, I would say, almost 2 years before we couldn't get anyone to listen to us.
Yeah.
But now,
You're like you're just grinding.
yeah, we have over 300,000 downloads on a niche podcast about short-term rentals. Like, what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, and we're self-promoting our own membership, so I don't have to worry about people thinking my ad price is too high. But had we not stuck it out, not making any money, and putting a lot of time into those podcast episodes, we wouldn't be like feeling the synergy right now. You just have to measure it, and you just have to know about, like, you know, where you'd like it to take you. Like, where is Clubhouse going to take you in 2 years?
And I think we have a little bit of disconnect in both what like our core focus is in our business, tying that into the social media stuff. And I think we also struggle a little bit like with the authenticity.
Okay.
That's in my opinion. So I think like making that connection would be important, but
Is there like a brand or business that you guys emulate? Like, you like really love what they're doing? Like, something you look up to, I guess.
yeah, I mean, like our business specifically like has a core focus, and we try to lean into that, and our employees are aware of that, and I think just kind of getting that to trickle through or somehow attaching the two seems like
How long have you guys been doing this for, though?
The
like
business part of
16
it?
months.
You two.
Yeah. So patience.
Yeah. And
We might struggle with that
shit.
too,
You know what I mean? But measure it. Like, when you get off your Clubhouse, one of you guys needs to go home and, like, even if it's, you know, like, no one showed up. Okay, so how long is that going on for? And when someone does show up, find out who they are, and like, that's the one thing I took for Gary Vee. I'm not a giant Gary Vee fan.
Yeah, he's
but
another one you got to tap into occasionally.
Yeah, but I absolutely love and believe in his, like, and Nettie helped me dig into this, but like really pouring into like that one person who DMs you and tells you that they love what you're doing, right? Or that call or that email, and not just like poo-pooing them off like they're nobody.
Yeah.
Like really asking them like, that's awesome, what about it like helped you? Asking them more about them than you do about you, because what they say will be the exact content that you need to create, because they love you.
Just complete the.
So then listen, and they're like, you help me with this, this, and that, and exactly how they say it too. Like, write it down. That is what helped Annette and I. Like, we then created a webinar, and most of that webinar language is shit that like
People
have
in the
said.
comments, yeah.
Yeah. And then they're like, oh my God, you totally get me. And like, yeah, because you said it. You know?
I'm using your words.
You wrote it. Truly. And that's what Gary Vee means by that. He's not just like making people like, people want to feel seen and heard, but like also I feel like he then uses the words that they say to like get them to keep coming back.
I do feel like I just learned a little bit about that recently, like that engagement piece. You know, it doesn't matter how many followers you have. If they're not engaging, then, because I know like even, I don't know if it's still a thing, but I know at one point you could like buy Instagram followers. Is that still a thing? But if you're selling a product and you buy a bunch of
And you're
10,000
selling your
fake-
stuff to bots.
You're selling your products to 10,000 fake Instagram followers. They're not going to buy much.
No.
So yeah, it's that engagement, and I was in a cycle there for a while where I would just dump on the Facebook whatever, and then people would comment, and then like I would kind of just forget about it.
Yeah.
But I think it's that like extra step where you really drive engagement and continue.
We have a running Word doc that just where we just copy and paste either Instagram comments or like emails, and we just dump like what people say, good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like the other day, we got a real bad one. They're like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. Like, I don't know what you wanted me to get from this. What are you offering? And then are like, okay, I mean, there's probably some truth there. So
Yeah.
how can we tighten it up?
Cool. Well, thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a brand strategist and or coach is
On the horizon.
in our
Yeah.
future. Because I don't,
If you have
I don't,
recommendation.
I'm not smart enough to figure out our business, the why of our business, and how that ties into my own and your own brand and our and like a higher level why, and then conveying that somehow. Because in my mind, our business is we're a house flipping business. Like
Yeah,
we
rentals,
buy
really.
distressed property, then we do a very mediocre job fixing them up.
Okay.
They are better than we found them.
Good.
but-
And they're safe. As long
Yeah.
as they're safe.
And
I'm
then
on
we-
board
There
with you
have
guys.
been some boob lights.
And then we rent them out, and it's purely just to build long-term wealth for us and our families.
Okay, but like, why are you building long-term wealth?
Yeah, so we can just have the financial flexibility to just keep doing shit like this.
It's so that you have time to like share
give
how
back.
other people can
Yeah.
build
Yeah,
long-term
absolutely.
wealth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the more specific you can get, and I struggle with specificity, but honestly, the more specific you can get, like what is long-term wealth for you and your family? What does that mean? Like what does that look like? What are you guys doing every day?
Yeah.
Are you building long-term wealth so you can watch like TV all day?
Right.
Right.
Because if
Yeah.
that's really you, then
Sit on the
like
beach, yeah.
maybe you can tap into like, TV creation or like, you know what I mean? Like people make shit work as long as they're being honest with themselves. It's when you make shit up, people can see right through it.
Yeah, right.
When you're like sitting on like a curb and like looking off in the distance, it's a quote. I'm like, I don't know.
There's a lot of that.
I don't know what to do with you.
Yeah.
So just ask her. Follow. I don't know a lot of brand strategists, but follow the Wonder Jam on Instagram. They're local.
They're local.
Yeah, I like them. I don't know if they would
Local?
jive with you guys or not, or if you would jive with them.
Like
It's
the
husband my
Wonders.
team. They're in Grandview. They build brands.
Cool.
They help. They don't build. You build a brand, but they help you
Yeah,
find it.
right.
But I'm sure there's tons of. I mean, Columbus is crazy
Yeah.
creative.
And your coaches, you haven't gone to like a coaching hub or company, you just reach out to
I used to have like a one-on-one, and then Annette and I, there's this woman who helps you with evergreen sales, essentially. And so we bought her course, and there's also a Facebook component, so we can interact with her and go to live coaching calls. But it's just, depends what you want to get out of it. We wanted to like be able to create this thing so we can get members, but we don't want to like launch all the time. That's just not us. I like going into my rentals and like fluffing pillows. Like I can't do it all the time. I don't make a lot of money doing that, but
Yeah.
I like to be a part of my rentals. So I just need to know that I have time to do that when I want to.
yeah.
Last question for me. How long were you intentionally active on social media before the social media alone was driving any amount of revenue?
I'd probably say we got on HGTV in 2015.
Oh
and
yeah,
so
I guess they kind of skipped
it
ahead
helped.
with that.
But I will say, like, if you ever get an opportunity like that, like, go all in on it. We didn't get a PR company. We didn't do anything that we should have
Yeah.
done to capture that moment.
I see people that have been on HGTV on like back end podcasts, and they hardly even talk about their HGTV business, and their other businesses are like just amazing because
Yeah.
of like all this traffic that they've driven from being this person on HGTV.
And here's the thing, you like, whether or not you like go into it and you use it on your resume, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Like, it's in my Instagram profile. You better believe it is.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, like a lot of those people are syndicating apartment buildings and like all
well,
these
that
things.
Atlanta
just-
dude, he's like killing it. What's his name?
Yeah, I know. I forget. I think actually, I think Homebusters had a bit of run-in with him, but On some
The
trip.
dude that was married and now isn't married?
Oh, that guy had a
Tao
divorce?
or-
yeah, Tal was the guy. Homebusters had a little legal battle with him, but
They're like Red Door or something in Atlanta. They flip houses. They had a show, Flip or Flop Atlanta.
yeah.
But he is no like fluffy he's got a brokerage. He's got, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
And he's on bigger pucks all the time, and he has a why, and he's got a vision, and he's very specific.